Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Mind Your Puckin' Business with your host, Jeffrey Krentzman.
Thank you, Dougie Sticks. Very passionate
You like
intro
that
there.
one? Like one? I got a new sound effect here.
I tell you, we also have new
Whoa.
Wi-Fi. I see that.
Yes. And new Wi-Fi,
We have
yes.
new Wi-Fi in the studio, so when you came in today, you could always smell it. Smell the
Yes.
freshness of new Wi-Fi here in the studio. Welcome to the Mind Your Puckin' Business podcast, coming to you as always from the beautiful studios of Undefeated Media here in Bergen County, New Jersey.
Thank you.
We are brought to you, of course, by our good friends at Sonnet Financial Technologies. And I could probably leave off the beautiful studios because today we have like an Armageddon storm, like 4 inches of rain.
Nor'easter. Yes.
Yeah, and a lot going on. So, but the new Wi-Fi so far, fingers crossed,
Freshest.
is plowing through the storm.
I didn't think we can get any fresher, but we
I
did.
tell you, we're passing tests. Hopefully we don't jinx it. This is, believe it or not, episode number 50 of the show. So episode 50 for people on the Spanish dial. We thank you for tuning in every week and listening to us. And you can email your questions at any time, as always, to mypbshow@gmail.com. And we just had somebody send a question there 3 minutes ago, and I just wrote him back. I don't know who the person was. I wrote him back. I will take your question in 15 minutes on the podcast. If you tune
Let's
in.
bring them on.
I'm
Let's bring them
adding
on live. Let's get
I
them on.
literally just happened, maybe no more than 3 minutes ago.
What's even better, might I add, because we are live, they can put their questions in the comments section too, and we can answer it live. And then we get to communicate and see who it is, bring their picture up, and a nice little interaction here.
We could do that.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and you can watch us anytime, listen to us, whatever you want to do, however you like to do it, at YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, and Facebook. So plenty of ways to get to us. How are you today, Dougie Sticks?
A little wet,
Yes.
but I am fine.
So there was talk last night between me and you.
Yes.
That today's show may have been a little bit different with the weather, that we were going to do like a remote aspect where I was going to be home.
Yes,
right?
Complete transparency here.
Mm-hmm.
At my apartment, I guess the cables and wires, everything is underground in this big apartment building, whatever. So very rarely do I ever lose power or internet, knock on wood. But here in White Coffin, New Jersey, we're in a residential area. All it takes is one tree.
One tree to knock it
to
down.
knock it all out.
So far we're good. Hopefully you can, for the next 40 minutes, the power stays on here. And if it doesn't, you certainly will know because you will hear just pure silence. So we're going to lead on today. We have a cool guest coming on in about 20 minutes, hockey guest. Jim Biringer has been with us before from the lastwordonsports.com will be with us. So we're going to lead in with the NFL today. We'll do things in opposite, and then we'll get into the Ranger stuff. And there is, as always, a lot to talk about. But so the NFL picks, and I said last week when we made the picks, I don't like picking the Monday night game for reasons that you can sometimes, since we pick 5 games, I don't like going into a situation where you've won 2 games on Sunday, you've lost 2 games on Sunday, and your week now is dependent on Monday night. And what do you think happened?
Our week is dependent
on Monday night last night. Thankfully, we got it right.
Nice.
We had the Seahawks plus 4.5 last night, so we won you some money, meaning we had a winning week, 3 up and 3 down. I'm sorry, 3 up and 2 down. And therefore, we move our record to 5 winning weeks and 2 losing weeks. Last night, I will tell you I was nervous because I thought to myself, if it goes right, our record is 5 wins and 2 losses. If it went wrong, our record is 4 wins and 3 losses. And it sounds a lot different, right? 5 and 2 versus 4 and 3. That's a big difference, kind of the way you psychologically.
Yes.
So thankfully, we went to 5 and 2 on the year. So local teams here, I will say on Sunday, I was feeling a little bit under the weather, and I decided on Sunday I was going to watch football because I was home. And it used to be back in the day, I don't know when this changed exactly here in the New York area, but the Giants and the Jets would never play at the same time. If you had one team playing at 1, the other team was 4 or 5, or the Monday night game, they never played at the same time. This went on for years. Well, this changed a couple of years ago. And so the other day, both teams were on at 1. So I figured, not feeling well, laying in bed, I was going to watch football for the day. That would be cool. The Jet game was out of hand in about a total of 13 minutes and was unwatchable. It was 14-0 before you even got into the game. And at least the Giant game was good and the Giants won, but it wasn't really that exciting watching that game either. So New York football, again, still remains just very unexciting and unappetizing here in the New York area. Can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
Because I know you do follow football.
Yes.
The Kansas City Chiefs Now I lost my big fantasy this week by 7 points. Patrick Mahomes gave me 7 total points. I mean, that's why I lost. I mean, the Chiefs, there are problems. Their defense is atrocious, but the Chiefs are now 3-4. Are the Chiefs done?
It looks like it. There's nothing. They're not showing us anything. It's not even like the offense is explosive, but the defense needs to pick it up a notch. They just look crazy all over the place.
Okay, but okay, and I agree with you. But we asked Paul Farrington last week when he was on the show, and we didn't know they were going to lose this week in Tennessee. They were favored. But are they done, right? Like, are you now writing them off and they're now like the Jets or another team that's just not going to make the playoffs? You know that, or they still have hope?
I think this season is a bust.
Okay. We shall see.
Where's the record? 3-5?
3-4.
3-4? Who do they beat?
They play next week the Giants, so that'll be a win. but yeah, I mean, look, it's so they won the Super Bowl 2 years ago. They lost in the Super Bowl last year, so they've been in the Super Bowl 2 years in a row, which means they've been AFC champs the last 2 years. I don't want to write them off because you still got Patrick Mahomes in that offense and Kelsey and Tyreek Hill and Andy Reid coaching them, but they are just.
Yeah, I mean, Mahomes isn't even playing that well. He's got 6 interceptions?
No, trust me, I'm aware.
And everyone's talking about, how he's got to slow it down, manage the game, drag out the game, and then make these big plays in the fourth quarter rather than trying to make big plays in the first quarter, interceptions, craziness.
Yeah, they were down early. So, and on Sunday, again, when I was watching the games, that was also a 1:00 game. And that was exciting to me because I figured I'd watch my fantasy quarterback and I have Travis Kelce too. It would be nice. And they just didn't give you anything. They scored a total of 3 points the entire game. So that wasn't really fun. So moving on, you want to do our picks early in the show this week?
Hell yeah.
All right. So these are your week number 8 picks.
Ooh, dude,
for mine. I know.
So fast.
The season goes quick. So here are your week 8 picks as we're going to try to go to 6-2. I don't like to do.
Can I do something?
Yes.
Week 8 picks.
There we go. I like it. I'm sure we'll be seeing that on the Instagram. clip this later.
There you go, B-Rock.
There you go, B-Rock. The brass producer B-Rock in the corner, who's conveniently wearing his Patriots shirt today, by the way, just to kind of piss us off here. That was clearly intentional that you wore that today. Don't tell me that was the first thing you just picked out of your drawer this morning on a rainy morning. A vintage Patriot t-shirt as he sits in the corner. All right, so I don't usually like to take, you and I actually talked the other day. I don't like to take teams that are giving a lot of points. Like we talked over the weekend. You texted me on Sunday about the Rams and the Lions, which you hit. You were right. But the Bills are giving 13.5 at home versus the Dolphins. The Bills are really good. The Bills are coming off a bye, and the Dolphins suck.
Yeah.
So if a team has a chance to cover minus 13.5, it's the Bills. Give me the Bills minus 13.5 at home versus the Dolphins.
Plus, like with the points things, there's no story there. There's no reason why the Dolphins would fight.
But there's
Jared Goff had a reason.
Right.
Fight.
And the Dolphins, all you had to do on Sunday was prevent Matt Ryan from having a game-winning drive on your home field, and you couldn't do that. Yeah, the Dolphins are not good. So I'm taking the Bills minus 13.5. The next one confused me a little bit, not a ton, but I'm taking the Titans +1 at the Colts. The Colts won on Sunday night. They look good, but I don't think the 49ers are that good who they beat. The Titans right now, in the last 2 weeks, they've beaten the Buffalo Bills and they've beaten the Kansas City Chiefs. They should be able to beat the Colts. And Derrick Henry right now is on a roll. And this week, the Titans finally got their wide receiver, A.J. Brown, going. So you would think with these two things and, the Colts, a division game, a team they know well, I like the Titans +1 in Indianapolis. The next game, Tampa is minus 4.5 at the Saints. Tampa is really good. Newsflash, breaking news. Tom Brady might win the MVP at age 67, it seems. However, Tampa is scoring a ton of points, and I'm not sure the Saints can score that many points to keep the spread within 4.5. Give me Tampa minus 4.5, and the Saints have to play on Monday night, so it's a short turnaround week for them. The next game, I don't love this game at all, but I just picked it for some reason, and I don't know why. I think it's my hatred for the Atlanta Falcons that we made fun of so far this season. I'm taking the Panthers +3 in Atlanta. The Panthers are just on a downward spiral, including this past weekend losing up here into the Giants. But if the Panthers have any hope of kind of saving their season before it's just gone, you have to win in Atlanta. Atlanta's not that good. So you're getting 3 points also. Give me the Panthers +3 in Atlanta. Last game, the Steelers +3.5 at the Browns. A divisional game, the games between the Steelers and the Browns, except for the playoffs last year, I know, are usually close. The Steelers are coming off a bye. The Browns are battling injuries, and I'm getting the Steelers coverage more than a field goal because it's 3.5. Give me the Steelers plus 3.5. So to recap, the Week 8 Mind Your Puckin' Business picks, I'm taking the Bills minus 13.5, the Titans plus 1 at the Colts, Tampa minus 4.5 at the Saints, the Panthers plus 3 at Atlanta, the Steelers plus 3.5 at the Browns. You good with that? You
I'm
okay?
good. I'm good with that.
You're down with that?
I'm down with that
You're
for
down
sure.
with it?
Yeah. Those are solid. Those are solid picks. Good job.
Good. All right, local stuff. Giants, Monday Night Football, plus 10 in Kansas City. Who are you taking?
First off, can I say the Giants really pissed me off this week?
Sure. You can say whatever you want to say.
That's what I want to say. Because I've been betting on them. I put a little side like, oh, come on, G-Men, or come on, Jets. I look for reasons to bet on them. And this is the first week where I was like, oh yeah, Sam Darnold, they're doing all right. This is definitely an easy win. Plus minus 2 points, whatever. Sam Darnold, I'm definitely gonna hit this. And the Giants win 20-something to 3. Come on.
Yeah.
Like, I'm happy. Yeah, cool. Giants win, great. But like, now you're messing with my money, man.
We know
either stink or don't stink.
Here's the good news with your money. You want to know a little inside information?
Yeah, please.
Your bank account's going to grow. You know why?
Why is that? Because I'm making picks with you?
No, because you're getting married in 10 days. So with the wedding, your bank account will grow.
All right.
So whatever you lost this weekend, yeah, that's true. However you choose to manage it is your choice.
Oh, yes.
However, your bank account's going to grow in the near future. That I can tell you.
Awesome.
So you're taking the Giants plus 10 in Kansas City Monday night. Who are you taking?
The Giants are plus 10 against Kansas City.
Yeah.
Oh no, plus 10. Kansas City's playing doo-doo. See, here I go. I'm going to bet on the Giants, and they're going to stink up the place. But if I bet for Kansas City, they're going to win the game.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to take Kansas City minus 10 because Kansas City needs to win, and the Giants are not good. So at some point, Kansas City,
you think this is going to be the wake-up game?
Yeah. Kansas City, I'm taking the minus 10. What about you?
All right, I'll go with you.
Okay. The other one, the beloved New York Jets.
I'm playing.
Plus 9.5 at home versus Cincy. Can I say something about this spread? And this is no disrespect to the Cincinnati Bengals, who destroyed Baltimore and are good. And Joe Burrow's good, and Chase, the wide receiver there, is good. The Jets, if you think about like just the stereotypes that the world has with the Cincinnati Bengals, like the Bungles, as they've been called, the Jets are now home getting 9.5 points. That's how bad the Jets are. Just think of the spread. But go ahead. So who would you take here? The Jets plus 9.5 versus Cincy.
Oh, yeah. Cincinnati's going to cover that.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that too. I'm taking, so it's weird. I'm with Kansas, with both New York teams getting 10 and 9.5. I'm not taking either of them. I'm taking the other team.
Yeah, that's how bad it is.
Yeah. So, all right. So we'll tune in next week, see if we can continue the good start. 5-2 on picks so far. We'll see what we do for week number 8. Shifting gears to the NHL before we bring on Jim Biringer. The Rangers this past week, a lot of positive vibes, and then in the matter of a night, last night, it just kind of goes away. So why don't we start? Why don't we start with the good? Right? Let's lead in with the good.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna start.
You don't want to end on a high note? Okay.
No, because if I end on a high note, we're going back in time. So the Rangers embark on a 4-game road trip a week and a half ago, and not an easy one. 3 games in Canada. They went up to Montreal, then they went to Toronto, then they went back to the U.S. to Nashville, then they went up back across the border to play in Ottawa. And the Rangers went 4-0 on the road trip, which was, I mean, what could you say, right? Team goes 4-0 on a road trip. Watching most of the games on the road trip, I missed one, as you know, because I was with you in an event a week ago Saturday. The story of this road trip was Igor Shesterkin, their goalie, who basically stole the game in Toronto, was really good in the other games. The Rangers had every reason on Saturday to lose. They were losing 2-0 with 5 minutes left in the game. It was over. And then like lightning struck the bench and they scored 3 quick goals. That is the first time ever the Rangers have come back, by the way, from 2 goals or more with 5 minutes left in a game. It just was bizarre. But they finished on a 4-0 road trip. They're doing well, 4-1-1.
Nice.
And they come home last night, and they play a Calgary team that I will say is underrated. This Calgary team is coached by Darryl Sutter, who's won 2 cups in Los Angeles. He's been a coach forever. He knows what he's doing. This team is very difficult to play against. The Rangers last night looked, I mean, when I tell you they looked awful, it was bad. So we were watching the game, and in the second period, I was literally falling asleep. Like I said to Jess, if you challenged me, because there was like 1:17 left in the second period, I said, if you challenge me right now to fall asleep in the 1:17, I could do it. And she said, no, don't do it, because I know you can. But it was that bad. So here's what I'm going to say. the question I just got in 3 minutes before we went live here was someone asked me, are you worried about some of the higher names on the team and the way they're performing or lack of performing, really? And I'm going to say this. I am concerned. I'm not worried, if that makes sense. I'm not setting the panic alarm yet. Like, we're not going to sit here and go ballistic. And we can ask Jim Biringer this question too. I'm not going to go crazy about it.
Yeah.
But I'm not liking what I'm seeing. Like, Artemi Panarin scored an overtime winner last week in Toronto. And after 7 games, Artemi Panarin, who was a Hart finalist, an MVP finalist a year ago, has 1 goal. That's his only goal in 7 games. Now, players are streaky. Mika Zibanejad, we can throw right into this equation also for someone who's not performing after he's gotten his $8 million contract that he signed 2 weeks ago. But Mika Zibanejad has always in his career, whether you like it or not, and you probably don't like it, has always been incredibly streaky. So maybe he's just waiting to get hot and the goals will keep coming, hopefully.
Do you think that they're coasting a little bit to save their energy for the end of the season, like the NBA players do? Like, they'll sit out of a game or something, like whatever.
The NBA will do that. That is not also a reason why I don't love the NBA. That does not really exist in hockey. Okay. And so I'm going to say this. I think if you're a fan of the Rangers, you're going to you can't put the panic alarm on the higher name talents yet. You can't do it after 7 games. However, if we're sitting here a month from now at Thanksgiving week, which we would be at a month from now, which I did not get your invite, by the way, for. Thank you.
You want to come to Thanksgiving dinner?
No, we'll see. We'll see. I do know where you usually go because I remember discussing with you last year.
I mean, I didn't get an invite either.
Last year, you wouldn't want an invite. We were quarantined last year. My daughter last year got quarantined the day before Thanksgiving.
Wow.
We normally traditionally go to my parents, and we got quarantined last year the day before.
So, I mean, we are on air, but is that a good thing or a bad thing? Do you like the big family get-togethers, or you rather sit at home and watch football and fall asleep?
I'm fine with both.
All right.
I roll with the punches. I got no problems.
All right.
I got no enemies in the world, baby. All right. So I'm not worried. But if you get to Thanksgiving week this week, whether or not you're with you at Thanksgiving, and those players are still not producing, then I think you have to at least get a little bit more concerned.
Do you see the effort though? Are they trying?
No.
So that's a major issue.
Artemi Panarin, I'm going to say this, and this is what people have been forgetting.
Yeah.
Artemi Panarin last year, the last 2 years really, has had incredible chemistry playing with Ryan Strome as a center. Ryan Strome was out on the COVID list for 4 of the last 5 games. He just came back last night. So
he misses his buddy.
He misses his line mate. That could be part of it for sure. But on the other hand, like Mika Zibanejad, you're playing now with Chris Kreider. You had Alexis Lafreniere on your left to start the season. Then they mixed and matched. They put Panarin and Zibanejad together. You would think that would help jumpstart at least one of them, if not both, and it hasn't. So there has been some concern with that. Now, what I will say on a positive note is Igor Shesterkin, aside from last night, although last night, I mean, I think we're going to just throw out the game tape on last night. Igor Shesterkin has been very, very good, like very good. Which is encouraging. Yeah, because if you're going to go anywhere, as we talked about with Dan Rosen from the NHL.com a couple weeks ago, if this team is going to go anywhere, it's going to be because Igor Shesterkin is good. You need a good goalie. I mean, that's not rocket science.
Yeah.
Even you know that in your
Absolutely.
In your hockey maven mind. So Absolutely. I don't know. It'll be interesting. So now, I don't know if this is like something that the NHL did intentionally. It seems in the beginning of the season now, teams have an incredibly long gaps between games. There's got to be a reason they do it because it's not just the Rangers. So the Rangers played last night. They now do not play again until Friday night at home versus Columbus. Now, the Rangers will enter Friday night's game at 4-2-1. The Rangers, I'm not going to sit here and say it's a must-win. It's not a must-win game. That's a little bit crazy. But it would be a game you really should win. You're playing a team that's not as talented as you. And the Rangers, after Friday night, will embark on a 4-game road trip. They will go on Halloween to play for the first time ever in Seattle at the expansion Seattle Kraken. And then they will run through Western Canada. They'll head up to Vancouver, and then they go to Edmonton, and then they end next Saturday, who they just got ripped by last night in Calgary. So you want to get Friday's game. It would be a lot better to go on the road at 5-2 than 4-3, because winning road games in the NHL is tough, especially when you go out of your time zone for a week. So let's hope that they can get it together.
Absolutely.
But to answer that question, because it's a good question, and I've seen it asked in other places, I'm not, like I said, I'm not hitting the panic button. I'm not going to do it.
Because they're not even trying. So if they
Well,
try, we'll win.
I don't know that it's a lack of effort. Now, also, you have to remember, they have a new coach. So as you like to call the Gerard Gallant bump, you call it the Gallant bump.
Gallant bump, yeah.
Right? Like some people, when they're pregnant, they wear a shirt and they say, I have a bump.
Yeah.
You have a
Some
Gallant
people,
bump.
when they're in the city, in a nightclub, they go to the bathroom, do a bump.
I don't know what you're talking about, and I don't want to know what you're talking about.
You don't want to know what I'm talking about.
I don't want to know what you're talking about. I literally, again, when I tell you I go to bed at like 9 o'clock, that's not an exaggeration.
Yes.
So I don't know what you people are doing.
No, not me. Not me.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong.
Whatever that is. We're just sticking to the Gallant bump. But anyway, you got to remember there's a new coach, so there's a new system. You have to account for a learning curve time for a new system. So we're going to say that maybe that's part of it as well.
I mean, yeah. I mean, we need that bump though. We want to see the bump.
You want to see the bump.
You want
to see the bump on a pregnant woman's shirt.
I mean, if what comes out of that bump is a good thing, sure.
Well, yeah. Well, what would come out of a Gallant? What Dan Rosen equated the Gallant
baby
bump to be?
We want that Gallant baby.
We do. So let's hope that some of those players start clicking, start playing well. The other thing that has looked well, and again, we're going to throw out the game tape on last night, is Adam Fox continues to look like exactly the right recipient for last year's Norris Trophy winner, because he has looked very good as well. Ryan Reeves has looked okay. He's, I think them bringing some physicality to their team, which he does, has been a good sign for us. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. So before Jim Biringer comes on, I'm going to and then we're going to ask Jim Biringer this question as well. I got this question, and B-Rock, who's sitting over there in his Patriot shirt, will like this question. We're about the Devils and the Devils start. Now, the Devils are 3-1. Again, same situation, right? Like the team has not played a lot of games. It's like a lot of these teams now are just not playing a ton of games in the beginning of the season. There had to have been a reason the NHL did this. I'm not sure if it's COVID related or what, but so the Devils have started their season with 5 games at home. They have their last game tonight, actually, against the aforementioned Calgary Flames, who beat up the Rangers last night. The Devils have looked good. Now, the Devils' issue is, of course, you can't talk about the Devils without saying Jack Hughes is now injured. And apparently he separated his shoulder, and they don't know how long he's going to be out. At least he doesn't need surgery. But look, the Devils you can only play who's on your schedule. So if you think your schedule's easy, they played the Blackhawks at home, who haven't been off to a bad start, but they beat them. That's all they can do. They destroyed the Kraken. They lost to the Capitals at home. But they also, we were talking about this in the studio before, that was the night they decided to play Wedgwood, their backup goalie, for some reason. And then they beat Buffalo. So you know what? You're playing the teams on your schedule. That's all you can do. But the Devils have looked good so far.
Nice.
But we're going to let's see if we can bring him in, because this guy knows way more about the Devils than I will ever know. And let's see if we can bring him in here. And that is Jim Biringer. Jim, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me, guys?
We can hear you perfectly. So this is Jim Biringer, lastwordonsports.com, who's been with us before. Thank you, Jim. How are you?
I'm good. How you guys doing today?
Good. So I'm going to bring you right into what we were just talking about, because you are the perfect person for this question. We got a question the other day is, are the Devils for real with their 3-1 start? Now, I said their schedule's easy, but you can't blame that for that. You play who's on your schedule. The Hughes injury hurts, but you know the Devils more than me. Are the Devils for real, and will they surprise people this year?
They'll definitely surprise people this year. Are they going to be a playoff team? No. They'll be playing meaningful games towards the end of the regular season, but I don't think they're a playoff team. They still need a year or two to develop as a unit. I mean, yeah, you add a piece here and there. You add Dougie Hamilton on the back. You have a nice number 1 with Ryan Griggs and Dougie Hamilton. But the issue is their goaltending is not what they thought it was going to be. You know, Mackenzie Blackwood is finally going through the vaccination process, so there'll be only one NHL player that's unvaccinated, which is Tyler Bertuzzi. So hopefully they get him back soon. Plus he's dealing with a heel injury. Jonathan Bernier is day-to-day with a groin, I believe. So that was something that was bothering him in the preseason. And I heard part of your conversation. You said, why did they start Wedgwood? Well, that's why, because Bernier was unavailable to go. So you knew they were going to lose the Caps. That's the problem. Like, you want to have these test games against better teams, but your team's not healthy to do it. And you knew they were going to lose the Capitals game. But, they beat a pretty good Buffalo team who's off to a good start, and they probably should have done a lot better, but they were down in that game. But it was Nico Dawes, the rookie goaltender, that, kept them in this game. But, against the Kraken, I was there. It was a good game. They played a lot better than they did against Chicago. They let Chicago back in it late in the third period, 2 goals. They were up 3-1. So, they're off to a decent start. But the best thing about this year is for New Jersey fans is that the coaching staff and management is now holding these players accountable to their mistakes. They apparently after the Washington game, they were on the ice, they were in the film room, they were learning mistakes that, hey, this stuff can't happen. And the coach is calling out their top players now on the top line, and they delivered. So that's a good sign for a team that wants to take the next step.
So what is your take on the Jack Hughes injury? It sounds like they were going to give him a week and then reevaluate it. They didn't think surgery was going to be needed. If you had to take a guess, put a crystal ball on how long he will be out, when do you think he will be back?
So he has a dislocated left shoulder. Speaking with some people in the medical field, that normally without surgery it takes 4 to 6 weeks. 6 weeks max, 4 weeks if the rehab goes right and he isn't stupid. He needs to be evaluated. So if surgery is needed, and if it's needed, he's going to be out at least a couple of months.
Well, let's hope for them that it's not needed, because he was, granted, it was not, he played 4 periods of hockey opening night and then the first period of the Seattle game, but he did look good, and he certainly looked good in the preseason, especially with the OT winner on opening night. Let's go around the league. I'm going to ask you some questions because around the league stuff as good as anybody. Edmonton off to a great start. Obviously, Edmonton can have the best regular season in the world. It's going to come down for them, the playoffs, and their struggles that they can never win a series. Is this the year we can finally take Edmonton for real?
Yes, this is the year you can take them for real because, look, right now they're outscoring their problems. They have the best power play in the league. Connor McDavid is the best player in the league. Don't tell me that Sidney Crosby is the best player in the league anymore, because he's not. Connor McDavid is taking over that mantle, and you can see it every game. The guy's on pace for 200 points. Will he get that? Probably not, but he's going to probably get over 150 points this season. Leon Draisaitl is the second best player on the team. He's unbelievable. And the addition of Zach Hyman, look, that was a nice gamble for them to get. It's a shame he didn't stay in Toronto, because you saw what he did with Marner and Matthews. He's doing the same thing with Draisaitl and McDavid in Edmonton. Look, Mike Smith is hurt. Now the shoulder goes on to Koskinen, but right now they can outscore their problems. I like Duncan Keith where he's playing in that lineup. So the Oilers are for real, and they're going to make a run this year.
Yeah, the pressure on them when we get to April to win a series is going to be magnificent. That'll really be the story to see if McDavid can finally win a playoff series. But we'll cross that bridge with you in 6 months. Florida
actually,
Panthers.
He actually did win a playoff series in his rookie year. He won a playoff series. They lost to Anaheim.
It's just been a while.
7. Yeah, it's been a while since. Now this version of McDavid, no one has really seen make a playoff run just yet.
Well, let's hope for them. I'm sure they're hoping in Western Canada this is the year that they finally can make a run. The Florida Panthers, not a surprise that they're off to a good start. I think doesn't surprise anyone, but they're off to an undefeated start. They're off to a great start. Surprised by how good they've been so far, or this is what you expected?
I kind of expected this, to be honest, out of the Panthers, knowing that who's behind the bench, Joel Quenneville. I've said this in other spots as well. This Florida Panthers team reminds me of those Chicago Blackhawks teams from 2008, 2009 that were just coming into their own with the players that they had, and then they won a cup in 2010. Now, the difference is those Blackhawks teams won playoff series. These Panthers have not won a playoff series since 1996, and granted these players were not on that team, but again, there's another team that hasn't won a first-round series in a long, long time. Now, the Panthers haven't been there a lot, but you have Sam Bennett's playing well, Barkov, Reinhart, Ekblad's back. The big thing is, Huberdeau is showing why he's one of the best players in the league. But the big thing for them is Sergei Bobrovsky is showing why he won the Vezina Trophy. He took Columbus in deep playoff rounds. That's the guy that they signed that $10 million season contract to. And you know what? He's showing why he can do it. They have a nice backup in Spencer Knight. So things are moving in the right direction for the Panthers this season, and I think they're going to be able to keep it up. Look, they showed. It's unfortunate that they ran into the Lightning and Kucherov, but they're a good team.
Yeah, they are, and they will certainly be in the playoffs and definitely capable of making a deep run. So Joel Quenneville, the coach there is Florida, as you mentioned. His old team, the Blackhawks, cannot win a game. I watched on Sunday night. I thought that they would beat Detroit at home. Detroit was on the second end of a back-to-back, and they couldn't do it there, although they did not have Patrick Kane. If you're the Blackhawks, if you actually let me phrase it to you like this: I'm a Blackhawk fan. If I was a Blackhawk fan, tell me something positive, please.
You got Jonathan Taves back. I mean, that's a positive, right? I mean, the guy didn't play last year.
Right. Is it going to get any better?
I don't think so. Unfortunately, I don't think it's getting better anytime soon. The defense is really not that good. I know everybody loves Seth Jones, but Seth Jones was good in a Columbus Blue Jacket system. Now maybe, guys are still feeling it out. Jeremy Colleton, and maybe guys don't understand the room yet because Taves is back, no Kane. Guys are on COVID. But last year, Chicago had that, it's us against the world mentality. They showed us that they could do whatever with, bad backup goaltending. I don't know, is Marc-Andre Fleury really into it? He doesn't seem like he is early on. Maybe he thought about maybe he's going to retire. Maybe that's what he should have done. Vegas could use him right now. Obviously, the cap is an issue for them, but I don't see it getting better anytime soon. Something's got to give there with that team.
Yeah, it may be a very long year at the United Center in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
All right, last question, the $1 million question. The question that we talk about on the show all the time that we hate talking about, but it still goes on. Where is Jack Eichel going to end up?
That's a good question. I mean, there's so many. It could go so many directions. The big thing right now is Vegas seems to be a front runner more and more with the injuries that they have down the middle and the depths that they don't have at center. Nolan Patrick's hurt. Mark Stone's hurt. Pacioretty's hurt. They could add him. The thing is, what are they sending back? Originally, when I was on here, we talked about the Rangers potentially getting Eichel. That ship is kind of sailed with the Zibanejad long-term deal. And the way they have to pay Adam Fox this upcoming offseason, there's no way they're going to be able to fit that contract in. So it looks like it's Vegas. Could be LA if, they have issues as well. I think he goes West Coast, but you never know. I mean, it all depends on if he has surgery. There's so many factors. Files a grievance. This is ridiculous. This should have been handled a lot better on both. Yeah, in both parties. Buffalo still wants all the picks that they want, these top prospects. You're not getting that. No team is giving that to you when a guy needs surgery for a neck injury. It's not happening.
Yeah. So we have a viewer question who's watching live come in. I'm going to hand it over to you. And that's, will the Sharks continue their winning record, or did they get lucky with some easy early wins?
I wouldn't call some of their wins easy. I thought they played really well. They're off to a really good start. Yeah, they lost to Boston on the back end of a road trip. They're off to a really good start. They beat some good teams. They beat a Toronto team that was really good in Matthews' second game back. Aiden Hill is showing why he's a good goaltender. Yeah, did they beat up on Montreal? Yeah, okay, but they still beat some quality teams there. And you know what? Like you said before, like the Devils, you play who's in front of you. And you know what? A lot of guys in that Shark system are having bounce back years, and they want to prove that last year and the year before was an anomaly. Carlson's playing better. Burns is playing better. Couture's taking over that team. So I like what the Sharks are doing, and they have a nice couple young pieces in there. William Ekblad is in there, so I like what the Sharks are doing. I think they can keep it up.
Yeah. So the Jack Eichel thing, the one thing I was going to say is I read yesterday, I think it was Elliot Friedman reported that he said the team that was showing a lot of interest in the last week was Calgary. And as a Ranger fan, I saw last night how Calgary can be and the system that they play under Darryl Sutter. So, if they can add him. Let me ask you one last question. I'm going to keep you for one more because I said before I was going to ask you the question. About 3 minutes before we went on air, we had a viewer someone submitted a question. I took it, but I want your opinion on it, and it's a Ranger-related question. Are you concerned about the lack of production right now from people like Zibanejad and Panarin?
No, I'm trying to win games. I'm not concerned about it if I'm a Ranger fan. No, because they're finding different ways to win, and that's Gerard Gallant's system. And I like the way they're playing. Now, granted, look, if you watch the game on Monday night, it's after a road trip. Teams usually that come back from a road trip lose their first game home. I think they'll be fine. Panarin will be fine. Zibanejad will be fine. The Rangers are off to a good start. Calgary's a really good team, and they're showing why they have a good squad, and because Daryl Sutter's such a good coach. And they came in with an attitude this year because if they didn't perform well, Goudreau, Monahan, Lindholm, all those guys would have been gone at the end of the year.
Yep. Well, thank you for joining us. That is Jim Biringer, lastwordonsports.com. We will have you back throughout the season. You are our main man for stuff around the league. You know better than anyone. So we appreciate you taking the time. And thanks, Jim. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Jeff, thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure to talk hockey with you boys.
Thanks, guy. But talk to you soon. So that is Jim Biringer, always insightful.
Very insightful.
I have to say to give Jim some credit.
Yeah.
He does not know what in advance I'm going to ask him at all.
Nobody does.
Right. Nobody does. So it's not like Jim has the opportunity to prep or when I asked him about Edmonton or Florida or whatever, he knew it was coming. I mean, this guy, he's on the fly.
Knows his stuff. Knows his stuff.
Speaking,
Still the Jack Eichel situation. No one knows the Jack Eichel.
Nobody knows. Yes. I wonder if there are sites out there, gambling sites that will place odds on where players are going to trade. Yeah, there will be odds all the time, what NFL coach is going to be fired first, or who will be I remember before the Jets hired Rex Ryan in that offseason, there was a bet who will be the Jets' next head coach. And Rex Ryan's odds were 1-6. So you knew the Jets were going to hire Rex
We don't have to get political. We don't have to go there. But if you heard about the situation with John Gruden before he got fired, could you have made that bet?
If it was out
emails
there,
are out. Oh,
yeah, but
he's getting fired.
But here's the thing. The second that it would have been public, it was out, the odds have changed. You can never get ahead of Vegas, right? You really –
oh, yeah, it's rigged.
Right, you can't. So could you have made that bet? Yeah, but the odds on it being Gruden would have been high because you didn't know in your head that was going to happen.
True.
So, yeah, but it would have been interesting, if the Eichel situation was a bet, you would have since there's no clear front runner here, you would have teams like Jim mentioned, Vegas, LA, and I agree with him. I think he's going to the West Coast, and I said that last week here on the show. But you would have teams that there would be no clear-cut winner. There's no front runner. Eventually, he's got to get traded. I mean, he's not just going to rot in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Eventually, it's got to end.
So where would the best odds? Where would the best bang for your buck?
I don't know where the best bang for your buck. If I had to guess right now,
I'm not saying who's got the best odds. I'm saying which is it for example, there's some bets that I make. I'll throw $1 on it,
I know what you're saying.
And the odds are 3 million to 1, and I put $1 on it, and I can make $100 off the $1 bet.
I would say this: Jim is always in the know.
Yeah.
And he didn't mention Calgary. I'm going to say maybe Calgary, if they came in at 20 or 30 to 1 as the team that was going to land him.
Nice.
The thing with Calgary is, and I was watching them last night, they have pieces that they could give up. Now, I don't know their prospect system well enough to know. I'm going to assume that they have something they could give up. But they definitely have pieces that if you wanted Eichel, you probably could do it.
Nice.
But so maybe Calgary's the best bang for your buck. And who would be the favorite? Who would have the best odds? Probably Vegas or LA. I would agree with Jim on that. It's not the Rangers. The Rangers would not have the best odds. Over the summer, when we talked about this at nauseum every freaking week, and we got annoyed at it back then, yes, they would have. But you know what? The Rangers would still be listed on the list of possible destinations.
True. Which
means we have to keep talking about it.
Yes.
We have to bring you all the
Absolutely.
Ranger news. That's our job.
Absolutely.
So speaking of someone who's on top of himself, now we talked about here in the Northeast that the weather here this week, today, is abysmal. Matter of fact, I saw.
You love that word.
What, abysmal?
Yes.
But I don't have a big vocabulary, repertoire.
Nice.
So
you're expanding it by the second.
The words that I know that sound really smart, I use a lot because I don't have a lot of words I can go. So the weather here in the Northeast is so bad that I saw, thankfully, across my computer since we've been on, that both my kids' sports practices tonight have been canceled.
Nice.
So if you saw me smile on the camera as I was looking at my computer, that's what it was. So the weather here has been awful today. It's supposed to be terrible the rest of the day. And I think for the good part of the week, it's going to be bad. So Tom Rahelski from Sonnet Sonnet Financial Technologies, who normally sometimes comes in studio, is going to do kind of a guest appearance similar to Jim Biringer on our kind of remote. Is he in our virtual green room?
Yes, he is. Here he is.
Here I am, guys.
There
Yep.
he is. There he is. How are you?
Good. Great. Thanks for.
I don't know. You know what? It's weird seeing you up on the screen. Here you are, like normally sitting next to Dougie Sticks in the corner. And we're sneaking you in like under the camera and mid show.
Yeah,
or whatever.
Normally you see me walk past the cameras and so everybody knows I'm here, right?
Well, now they definitely know you're here because they see you on the screen. So
yeah.
How are you today?
I'm doing great. Yeah, you guys are brave. I decided not to go out into this rainy, crazy weather. So
brave the elements.
Yeah.
Well, the world wouldn't be itself if Dougie Sticks couldn't talk about Jack Eichel for a week. I don't know if the world would be okay. So we had to brave the elements today.
Yeah, do what you gotta do, right?
True.
Right. We gotta do what you gotta do. So I am going to turn it over to you, Tom, for good 5 minutes or so, and tell us what you want to talk about Sonnet Financial Technologies and your tips of the week.
Yeah, absolutely. So I like to start my segment with asking Dougie a couple questions. He does a good job. Doug, do you know what the average 30-year return as of last year for the S&P 500 was?
The average 30-year return on the S&P 500.
Yeah.
Is that the question?
Yes. What do you think it is, Doug?
And the S&P 500 are the top 500. Or no, that's not an index.
Yeah, exactly. It's a big index that people use to track the market.
Yes. So are we talking about a percentage? Or are we talking about like if I put it? What's that?
Yeah, percentage.
Over the last 30 years.
Yeah.
I would say 35%.
Oof, that's really high. I wish it was that. We'd have a lot of millionaires for those that high.
I tell you,
you got to account for inflation and stuff, though.
If it was that high, we wouldn't have to be doing this.
I thought the average was like 8% yearly. The economy grows or something.
Yeah, that's actually a much closer number, Doug. It's 10% is the average annual return.
See,
yes. Okay.
So then times that by 30 years. We're not.
Oh, well, you're talking about what's the cumulative return? Yeah, if the cumulative.
You said
return,
30 years.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. I should have phrased the question better, but that was a good guess, Doug. So yeah, you were close. 8%. Actually, 10% is the average annual return of the S&P 500.
See,
where is it at? Tom, do you know where is the return so far this year at? As we get to the end of October, where is it at?
I'll tell you. Actually,
I'm just curious.
Good question.
If we're on on an average year.
You froze for a second.
Year-to-date return, right? It was actually 24%.
Wow.
24%.
I was right.
Yeah. He knows his stuff, man. He's good.
I know my stuff.
I tell you, Tom, if Sonnet is hiring for new positions, this guy over here, he's got an impressive financial resume.
I know my stuff. I research.
So now I'm gonna pose a different question to you, Doug.
All right.
We know the market's returning on average. Obviously there's some up years, some down years, some great years like we're having so far, 24%. Obviously some negative years. What's the average investor? What's the average investor's annualized return? Because there's this company called Dalbar, and they actually went into Fidelity and Morgan Stanley and E-Trade, and they shared all the data. Obviously no client information, but they showed every client's January 1st account value start and their December 31st account value start, right?
Yes, that's a big thing right now. People are like watching what people do to decide what they want to invest in. I've been seeing a big trend in that.
So what do you think the average investor, what's their annual return over the last 30 years? We know the S&P. If you just bought an index fund, you would have made 10% on average every year. What would you do if you tried to trade on your own?
Now, are we saying how long of a time frame here?
30 years, over the last 30 years. Yeah. Do you think the average investor did better or worse than the S&P 500?
The average investor did worse.
Yeah. How much worse than, Doug? What do you think?
So what was the answer for the first question was 8%, 10%?
10%. Yeah.
I would say 3.
3. Damn, Doug, you're good. 4%. 4%.
He is a machine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Pull out this clip, B-Rock.
Sorry, it actually is 4%, and if you include Doug's average return, then it actually is 3%. So.
Oh, thanks. All right.
But so the point is, the average investor is not very good at investing, and it's because of a lot of psychological theories. And maybe I'll actually talk about behavioral economics another week. That might actually be a good topic. So one product that we've created for investors in the financial services world, and there's obviously a lot of pros and cons to it, is something called an index capped annuity. Have you ever heard of these things?
No, but would you like me to pull it up for you?
In 1 second. Yeah, in 1 second. Yes.
Okay. All right.
So an index annuity is not an S&P 500 index fund, right? Because if you have an index fund, if the market goes up, you see your account value go up. If the market goes down, you also see your account value go down, right? And that's where that investor psychology comes in, and people start panicking and calling their brokers, selling, and trying to, cut their losses. So insurance companies have created these annuities called index capped annuities. And basically it's almost like a CD, right? In that it has a protection of your principal, right? Like a CD. It's not FDIC insured, right? But it's guaranteed by the insurer. And you essentially get like what's called you want to call it a bonus rate. And so now, Doug, if you want to pull up the graphic that I sent you earlier. There we go. So you actually essentially get a little bonus rates on your CD. And the bonus is usually connected to the S&P 500, right? And there are a couple different ways that these insurance companies factor in your bonus rate, right? So the first one is an annual reset. So let's say the S&P is at 1,500 today, and 12 months from now, it's at 1,800. You got a 10% increase in the market. You get a bonus rate connected to that to the stock market returns, right? There's also point to point. So every month or every quarter, there's a certain trigger point that kind of sets what your rate is, and a lot of times they'll accumulate over the year. So you get like 1% bonus the first quarter, 2% bonus the second quarter, 0% bonus third quarter, and at the end of the year, it calculates for you. And also there's something we call a high water mark. So let's say the market hits 1,800 and then actually crashes for the rest of the year. You essentially lock in that highest possible point, the highest watermark of the S&P for the year. So Doug, sounds like an amazing investment, right? Your principal is protected and you get returns connected to the stock market, right? What could be bad about it, right?
I feel like you're setting me up for disaster here. What could be bad about it?
Obviously too good to be true, right? So
yes.
there are obviously a lot of hooks in there, right? So what they also have, some other hooks are called participation rates, right? So maybe the market returned 24% like we're getting this year so far. You might be capped at 8%, right? So we could be in the beginning of the greatest Biden bull market and 24% return year over year, right, for the next 4 years. But you're constantly locked in at most, 5, 6, 7, 8%. So if you had the actual index fund, you could be making a lot more, right?
Why would you be capped?
Well, because that's the catch, right? You're not going to get principal protection and 100% market participation. Wow. Yeah. So, yes. So I mean, but
Tom,
remember the good thing about sorry, yeah, Jeff.
I was going to ask you a question about CDs in general. I don't know if you're the right person for it, but I remember back like when I graduated college and my wife and I, well, we were not husband and wife back then, we're trying to save money, and the CD rates at the time, certificate of deposits, were pretty good. But since, this was the mid 2000s, I'm assuming since then you're not getting CDs at those same rates, right?
No, not at all. Not at all. Yeah, that's why, like, as a financial planner, I'm trying to encourage people to get out of CDs because you're actually losing money in a CD, right? If you're investing,
you're locked in.
You're locked in, and plus, remember, inflation is estimated to be around 3-4% right now. So if you get a 1% CD, you're actually losing 3% every year. So these index annuities are good for people that are risk averse. They don't want to see their account value go down, but they're losing money because they don't have any market exposure. This at least gives you some market exposure. I'd rather have a CD investor getting 8% when the S&P is doing 24% versus locking the money in at the bank and getting 0 or 0.5% or 1%.
Well, thank you, Tom, as always. Yeah. And stay dry out there today, which is not as easy to do on a day like today.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Stay dry. Well, thanks for coming on, Dougie. Any other questions for our main man here?
So, moral of the story is if you got instead of putting some money in the bank, we want to put it where?
Into a potential good spot would be an indexed annuity, right? Where you are getting some better returns, beating inflation, but most importantly, have that principal protection so you don't panic and lose your money. But there are a lot of fees involved with these too, as far as exit fees. So you don't want to throw your entire life savings into these, because if you need to take out some at the end of the year, you might get a penalty. Because remember, the insurance companies try to make this into a long-term investment. So don't put like your liquid cash savings into this. But if you have money sitting in a CD that you haven't touched in 2 years, you don't plan on touching it for 5 years, this is a much better opportunity.
And the best way to do this and set this up is to contact Sonic FinTech.
Exactly. Reach out to us on Facebook, Instagram, post a comment here in the Facebook live stream or YouTube stream, and we could definitely get in contact and be more than glad to give you a consultation and see if an index annuity makes sense for you.
Well, thank you, Tom. I appreciate it. Like I said, stay safe today in the weather.
Yeah, great. Thanks a lot, guys.
And that is our friend Tom Rahelski from Sonnet Financial Technologies.
Nice.
Very cool.
Yeah, I'm about to go get my duffel bag of cash and bring it over to Tom's house.
And you may want to start working on your resume, because I'm telling you, you are multi-talented, because you can go from talking Jack Eichel to financial advice in a matter of 40 seconds.
I know what's going on in the world, man.
Is there anything Dougie Sticks doesn't
Ask me a question. Ask me a question.
So you know what? People that are asking questions that have been sending them in, if you want to ask Dougie Sticks a question, you can send them to MYPB show at gmail.com. If you have any life questions for Dougie Sticks, I'm sure he would be more than happy to if you're following the live stream, there's the email address. You can email Dougie Sticks at mypbshow@gmail.com, and we will make sure that he answers your questions. That's it for today. Good show. We thank Tom Rahelski, as always. We thank Sonnet Financial Technologies. We thank Jim Biringer from lastwordonsports.com, who knows his NHL better than anybody, especially stuff around the league. Pretty insightful. Anything on your end as we approach the 10-day mark now? We're getting into single-digit days tomorrow to get married.
Yes, time flies.
Are we?
Time flies when you're having fun.
Well, you know what? Next week we'll set aside some stuff for the wedding. I mean, I think we have to, because by then we're 3 days out. But as you
crazy 3 days next week.
Are you? And I remember when you got engaged, actually. So it's weird that here we
You've been along for the whole ride, brother.
I tell you, I remember when you were just a little kid, Dougie Sticks. And here you are getting married next Friday. What are the emotions? Are we ready? We just want it to be over, get it over with.
She definitely wants it to be over because she's been doing a lot, and thank you for doing pretty much everything. I mean, I've helped out getting the DJ and the photography, but she's been doing a lot. Her sister's been doing a lot, so thank them as well. So they all want it to be over. I'm very busy, so time is flying. It's coming really quick. But yeah, that's.
There you go.
Yeah, right. Everything's good. What? Everything's good. Time's flying. It's coming. It'll be here before you know it.
So next week on the show, we'll do the Rangers. We'll do the NFL picks. We will do a Dougie Sticks matrimonial segment in some way, shape, or form. We will think of what we're gonna do.
Are you Saved by the Bell guy? You watch Saved by the Bell? Yeah, I feel like it's like the Zach and Kelly Vegas episode.
Yes.
We'll go to Vegas and get married.
My wife, who was a Saved by, now we didn't know each other back in the time when that stuff was out, Saved by the Bell, but she's pretty knowledgeable in that as well. And my kids now stream. Remember Full House?
Yeah.
Danny Tanner and Jessica Tsopoulos and Joey Gladstone.
Yeah.
That is streaming on Hulu or Apple TV or something. So now my kids have kind of gotten into it. So we have now rewatched a lot of the episodes. When Jesse and the Rippers goes to Japan, my kids watched that episode 37 times.
Nice. They could be watching way worse. And do they know about the new Fuller House?
They don't, because they need to finish the
Full
House.
You didn't tell them about it?
No.
And they didn't know about it before starting Full House?
No,
good strategy. Good strategy.
I get no credit for that.
Make them watch. Yeah, make them watch it in order.
Thanks.
How about Boy Meets World?
Is that out again? Oh, what's back? Which was a great show from when we were kids. The Wonder Years.
Yes, the Wonder Years
is back. I think, but it's all new. New.
Yeah, it's a different perspective.
Yes, that was with Kevin Arnold was the kid.
Yeah.
That was a great show. Yeah. I remember, and then we're gonna cut this out before we get flooded in here. But I remember as a kid, that show was on Sunday nights on ABC at 8:30, and it was always I would make sure I had a cool dessert and I would bring the dessert into the family room because I bought my parents' house. So I'm back where I lived, like where I now watch Ranger games. I would bring the food in, like, and the Wonder Years when that show was on for a half hour with Kevin Arnold. And he used to have the old school Jets football jacket. It was filmed in it was like taking place in 1969. Yeah, that was a great show, and that is back. So I will have to tune into that. Great
TV. Great TV.
TV was better back then.
Yes.
People will disagree, but TV was better back then. Now you have, because of Netflix and all this other stuff, you've got a million different options, but it doesn't mean that the quality is better.
I'm going to give you one show you need to watch.
I don't want you to say, if it's somebody, I've had 4 people in the last week tell me one show. Does it begin with a T?
Yes, it does.
Does the second word begin with an L?
Yes, it does.
So you're the 4th.
Ted Lasso.
You are literally.
You gotta watch it.
It's Apple TV.
It's Apple TV. You gotta watch it. And if you're gonna get Apple TV, don't be afraid it's just one show, because there's 2 shows you should watch: Ted Lasso and C.
So we have had 5 people. I'm not even joking. I've had 5 people in the last week that when someone's like, "Oh, I got a great show for you and Jess," I'm like, "Please tell me it's not Ted Lasso." And they're like, "Oh, it is."
What is that telling you?
All right.
Everyone's telling you it's I want to say it might be the best sports show ever made.
Okay. I am going to speak to the big wigs here at Undefeated Media today. Yeah. And because it's part of the podcast and it's like research, I'm going to see if they can get me an Apple ID.
I'll put it on right now.
Wait, do I need? Okay.
We can watch the first episode together.
No,
it's so good. I'll watch it again.
Wow, look at you.
I'll watch it. I'll watch the whole thing again.
All right. Well, stay tuned for the Ted Lasso updates apparently in the next couple of weeks. Thanks for tuning in. We thank there it is. Someone's writing in the comments. Ted Lasso is the best show.
Tom, you should have put it in the comment section, but Tom just said Ted is the best show ever.
I'm gonna have to check it out. Well, we thank Tom Rahelski for joining us. We thank Sonic Financial Technology, as I said. Again, we thank Jim Biringer, and we will see you all next week. If you're in the Northeast before we go, stay dry this week. It's going to not be easy. Apparently, it's nonstop rain for the next 5 days. You want to do something with the sound effects, I can see. Go ahead.
Stay dry.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thank you for watching Mind Your Puck in Business.